Once, the Zenari homeworld was a beacon of peace and prosperity. Their civilization flourished in harmony, relying on ancient energy systems to power their cities, safeguard their people, and sustain their planet. But now, those same energy systems are failing. The skies, once lit with vibrant hues, now dim under a perpetual twilight. Towers that stretch to the heavens stand dark and silent. Streets once bustling with life now echo with uncertainty. Zenari citizens gather in small, worried groups, their voices filled with dread. The soft hum of their once flawless technology is now a discordant buzz, erratic and untrustworthy. Systems they have relied on for millennia flicker and shut down. Their leaders, once confident and revered, now wear the weight of impending doom in their eyes. The Zenari are not warriors. They have never fought a war. Their existence has always been about progress, knowledge, and peace. But in their reliance on their ancient power sources, they have grown vulnerable. Now, that peace is crumbling with the collapse of the systems that sustained it. The panic is palpable, fear rippling through the crowds as the darkness spreads. And as they watch their world descend into chaos, a sense of collective helplessness falls over them. Desperation drives the Zenari to reach out across the galaxy, sending distress signals to their once allies, the very civilizations they had helped in the past. Surely, they believe, their neighbors will not abandon them. But one by one, the responses come back cold and dismissive. The mighty war fleets of the Zyrathians ignore the pleas, their leaders dismissing the Zenari as a civilization past its prime. The Korath Consortium, a race of merchants, refused to divert resources, claiming it's not profitable to save a dying race. Even the Shathari, known for their supposed compassion, turn their backs, calling the Zenari's situation unfortunate but inevitable. As the rejection spreads, the Zenari leadership holds a final, desperate meeting. Their greatest minds, their most respected elders, all gathered around a central table in silence. They can barely look each other in the eyes. There is no strategy left, no solution they haven't tried. The galaxy has spoken, they are alone. And now, they prepare for the inevitable. The Zenari will die out, their proud legacy reduced to a forgotten chapter in galactic history. Meanwhile, on the edge of known space, a human vessel, the Odyssey, drifts through the stars. Its crew, a mix of explorers and engineers, operate far from the central power hubs of the galaxy. Captain Ryan Mitchell, a seasoned officer known for his stubborn moral code, lounges in his chair on the bridge. Around him, his crew buzzes with the regular hum of starship activity. Then, a distress signal comes through. It's faint but urgent. The words are clear, the Zenari are calling for help. The crew gathers around the communication panel, reviewing the situation. The Zenari? One officer asks. Aren't they those peaceful types? They never leave their homeworld. Another crew member pulls up data on the galactic net. Yeah, and it looks like everyone else is ignoring them. None of the major powers are even considering sending aid. They're writing them off. Captain Mitchell listens quietly. His eyes narrow as he watches the data scroll past, listing the diplomatic refusals, the cold calculus that led entire civilizations to turn their backs on the Zenari. We're low on supplies as it is, the ship's quartermaster says, a hint of hesitation in his voice. And it's a long shot. If the other races won't get involved, why should we? Mitchell leans forward, hands clasped. Because it's the right thing to do. I don't care what the other species think. We're not like them. We don't abandon people who need help. Engineer Maria Tanaka, one of the best minds in the human fleet, stands beside him, nodding in agreement. The Zenari aren't fighters. They don't know how to handle something like this. If we don't help, they'll be wiped out. Their entire culture, gone. The room is silent as the crew digests the weight of the decision before them. It's risky. They don't have the resources of the larger empires, and their ship, while advanced by human standards, is no warship. But Mitchell knows one thing for sure: humanity cannot stand by and watch an entire race disappear. Set a course for the Zenari homeworld, Mitchell orders. We're going to help, no matter the cost. The Odyssey powers up, its engines humming to life as the ship shifts course. They know the risks. They know the odds. But they also know that humanity has always been willing to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. When the Odyssey lands on Zenari Prime, the atmosphere is thick with tension. The Zenari leadership, clearly worn down by weeks of crisis, greets the humans with wary eyes. Their elegant robes are now stained with signs of stress, and their posture reflects the people on the edge of collapse. The once pristine architecture surrounding them is a grim contrast to the humans' rugged, practical equipment as they disembark. The smooth, shimmering buildings that once stood as symbols of progress are now dim, with flickering lights casting long shadows. The Zenari Council members murmur among themselves, clearly doubtful that a handful of humans could succeed where their allies, far more advanced and powerful, had failed. The humans, though well-meaning, are still new to the galactic stage. To the Zenari, they seem too few, too under-resourced. Their sleek, failing technology dwarfs the humans' simpler, more robust tools. Still, Captain Mitchell stands confidently before them, radiating determination despite the skepticism. "We've heard your calls," Mitchell says, his voice calm but firm. "We came because we believe no one should face this alone. We might not have the resources others do, but we have one thing: human ingenuity. Let us help." The Zenari hesitate. They've seen this kind of speech before, but something in Mitchell's tone, his unyielding compassion, strikes a chord. Though still unsure, the Council concedes. They have no other options. If nothing else, these humans are their final hope. With the Zenari's reluctant approval, Maria Tanaka gets to work. She immediately notices the beauty and complexity of the Zenari's energy systems, sleek conduits running beneath the surface, seamlessly integrated into the architecture of their cities. But beauty is no substitute for functionality. As she examines the systems closely, she sees the truth. The entire infrastructure is teetering on the brink of failure, like a delicately balanced machine that's just taken one too many hits. The energy systems rely on a nearly forgotten technology, an ancient energy field that the Zenari believed would sustain them indefinitely. It was thought to be an endless source of power, self-regenerating and inexhaustible. But something is deeply wrong. The energy field is fading, its power waning, unable to renew itself any longer. Tanaka realizes it's not just a natural depletion, it's as if something has been feeding off the energy, draining it over time. She presents her findings to Captain Mitchell. "The system isn't just failing. Something's been siphoning off the energy for centuries, maybe even longer. Whatever it is, it's been hidden within the field itself, unseen and undetected." Mitchell furrows his brow. "You're saying something's out there, feeding on this?" Tanaka nods. "It's possible. We've never seen anything like this, but whatever it is, it's tied to the energy collapse. If we don't stabilize the system soon, it won't just be an energy shortage. This thing, whatever it is, could surface." The crew exchanges uneasy glances. There's no time to dwell on the implications. They need a solution, and fast. Mitchell and Tanaka devise a plan. The Zenari's ancient systems are too fragile for direct repair, but the humans have something they can use: portable reactors from the Odyssey. These reactors, though small, could be used to jump-start the Zenari grid temporarily, buying them enough time to figure out a longer-term solution. But the plan is risky. Integrating human technology with the Zenari systems will be like trying to force two incompatible machines to work together. One wrong move, and it could all overload, taking the entire grid down with it. The Zenari watch anxiously as the humans begin setting up their equipment. "This has never been tried before," Tanaka admits, calibrating the reactor. "But it's our best shot." As the clock ticks down, the pressure mounts. The humans work with urgency, their hands moving swiftly over both their own reactors and the Zenari's fragile technology. The fusion of human and alien tech is delicate, requiring precise adjustments. Every spark, every flicker of the system brings a fresh wave of tension. If this doesn't work, the Zenari won't just lose power, they'll lose their entire civilization. Mitchell keeps his focus on the goal. "We'll make this work," he says quietly. "Failure isn't an option." As the human's temporary fix takes hold, the energy systems of Zenari Prime begin to hum back to life. Lights flicker on, and the dull, lifeless streets are momentarily bathed in the glow of artificial power. Relief washes over the Zenari, but the humans remain on edge. Maria Tanaka keeps a close eye on the reactors, monitoring the delicate balance. Just when it seems like they've bought some time, the atmosphere shifts. Something is wrong. The ground trembles, not from any mechanical failure, but from something deeper, something primal. Captain Mitchell steps forward, his eyes narrowing as a strange, unsettling presence fills the air. It's not visible yet, but they can feel it, an ancient force stirring. The Zenari, who had just started to believe in the humans' plan, suddenly freeze, their faces contorting in fear. They'd felt this before, long ago, and now they realize what they had forgotten. The entity they believed was a myth has awoken. Above the city, the skies twist and warp as a colossal shape begins to manifest. It's not like anything they've ever encountered, a vast, incomprehensible being that defies form and reason. It moves in a way that challenges perception, as though it exists outside the very laws of physics. Its tendrils stretch out like shadows, phasing in and out of reality, and its presence presses down on their minds like a suffocating weight. The entity is ancient, far older than any civilization in the galaxy, and it has been silently feeding on the Zenari's energy for millennia. The Zenari's power source wasn't a renewable resource. It was a trap, a lure for this being, which has thrived in the shadows of their system. And now, with the humans' reactors reviving the power grid, the creature awakens, perceiving them as a direct threat. The Zenari gasp in terror, their once calm and stoic demeanor shattered. They whisper among themselves that their fate is sealed, that this creature is unstoppable. But the humans don't flinch. Where others would cower, Captain Mitchell stands tall, his crew by his side. "We've faced worse odds," he says, though the tension in his voice betrays the gravity of the situation. The entity, however, isn't interested in negotiations. With a sudden surge, it lashes out, draining power from both the Zenari grid and the Odyssey. The temporary fix the humans had implemented flickers wildly, and across the Zenari city, blackouts strike. Buildings that had just begun to glow with light are plunged back into darkness. The crew feels the strain immediately. Inside the Odyssey, the lights dim, systems begin to fail, and warning alarms blare. The entity is feeding, and it's not stopping. As panic threatens to take hold, Mitchell quickly gathers his team. Weapons are useless against something like this. What they need is a new approach. Tanaka, ever analytical, starts observing the creature's patterns, looking for something, anything, that might give them an edge. "This thing isn't mindless," she says, poring over the data. "It's intelligent, and it's hungry. But it's also predictable. It's drawn to the energy output, like a predator stalking prey." Mitchell nods. "Then we give it what it wants, but on our terms." The humans quickly piece together a plan. If the entity is feeding on the energy, they can use that to their advantage. The crew decides to modify the reactors, amplifying their energy output to act as bait. If they can lure the creature close enough, they can overload the system and create a massive energy pulse, enough to destabilize the creature, if only temporarily. That will give them the window they need to repair the energy field and cut off the creature's access to the Zenari grid. It's a desperate plan, with little guarantee of success. Overloading the reactors could easily destroy the Odyssey and leave both species defenseless. But it's the only option they have. The Zenari, still shaken, hesitate. The thought of provoking the entity even further terrifies them. But Mitchell's determination is unshakable. "We didn't come all this way to fail. If we work together, we can beat this thing." Slowly, the Zenari Council agrees. They know that without the humans, they wouldn't have even survived this long. Together, the humans and Zenari begin to coordinate their efforts. The humans work furiously on modifying the reactors, while the Zenari prepare their failing systems to support the plan. It's a delicate balance. They need just enough power to attract the entity, but not so much that they burn themselves out before the trap is sprung. As the final preparations are made, the tension reaches a breaking point. Time is running out. If they fail, The entity will consume everything. Mitchell, Tanaka, and the rest of the crew stand ready. The zenari, though still fearful, find a glimmer of hope in the humans' resolve. For the first time, they believe they might just survive. With everything in place, the bait is set. All that's left is to wait for the entity to take the lure, and hope their plan works before it's too late. The plan is set in motion, and the entire crew of the Odyssey is on edge. The modified reactors hum with energy, drawing the cosmic entity closer, like a moth to a flame. It's working. The entity, sensing the massive energy output, approaches, its tendrils expanding and stretching toward the human technology. The air grows thick with tension as the crew monitors every fluctuation in the energy output, waiting for the precise moment to trigger the overload. Captain Mitchell, standing at the helm, keeps his focus razor sharp. His heart pounds, but his resolve is unwavering. The zenari, watching from the sidelines, are paralyzed with fear, unable to comprehend the enormity of what's happening. The entity looms ever closer, its formless body pulsating with dark, incomprehensible energy. It's more powerful than any of them anticipated. The ground shakes, and the lights flicker as the entity's presence grows stronger, almost overwhelming the fragile systems they've worked so hard to keep stable. Maria Tanaka's voice cuts through the tension. The reactors are nearing critical. We have seconds. Mitchell nods. Hold steady. We can't trigger it too early. Time slows as the entity moves in, fully enveloping the reactors. Its tendrils snake around the energy cores, greedily siphoning power. The crew knows that the longer they wait, the greater the risk of losing control. The entire system is teetering on the brink of overload, and if they fail to act at the right moment, the results could be catastrophic. Suddenly, a surge ripples through the ship. The entity's feeding frenzy accelerates, and alarms blare. There's no more time. Mitchell, making a split-second decision, rushes toward the reactor control panel, overriding safety protocols. The crew shouts for him to stop, knowing the danger he's placing himself in, but he doesn't hesitate. He punches in the command, his eyes locked on the growing mass of the entity, knowing that this is their only chance. The reactors flare. A brilliant light pulses outward as the system overloads, sending a massive energy pulse directly into the core of the cosmic entity. For a brief moment, everything goes silent. The entity screeches, a sound that's less audible and more felt, reverberating through every molecule in the air. It convulses, its tendrils flailing wildly as the energy disrupts its form. The overload works. The entity is stunned, destabilized by the sheer force of the pulse. Now! Tanaka yells, her hands flying over the controls to restabilize the zenari's energy field. Mitchell, barely recovering from the energy surge, helps guide the process, manually realigning the grid. The humans work with precision, reactivating the protective energy barrier around Zenari Prime, cutting the entity off from its food source. The entity writhes, its immense form flickering and shifting as it loses its grip on the Zenari grid. With one final, haunting shriek, it recoils, retreating back into the void of space, defeated for now. The Zenari's power systems roar back to life, stronger than they've been in decades. The entire city is illuminated, a beacon of hope and survival. The Zenari look on in disbelief, their minds struggling to process what just happened. They had believed their end was inevitable, that no force in the galaxy could save them from this ancient terror. But humanity, with all its flaws and impulsive tendencies, had stood up to the impossible and won. As the lights flicker back on, Captain Mitchell exhales deeply, the weight of the moment hitting him. His crew, battered but alive, gathers around him. There's no wild celebration, just a deep, shared sense of accomplishment. They've done the impossible, but they all know the entity is still out there, lurking in the void, waiting. It's a bittersweet victory, but a victory nonetheless. The Zenari Council, still shaken but grateful beyond words, approaches the humans. The leader of the council steps forward, bowing deeply. "You saved us," the leader says, all filling their voice. "When all others abandoned us, you fought for our survival. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Mitchell, humble in victory, shakes his head. "We did what anyone should have done. But you don't owe us anything. We're all just trying to survive out here. The council leader smiles, though there's still a hint of sadness in their eyes. Perhaps. But we will never forget what you did for us today. From this moment forward, humanity and the Zenari will stand as one. With those words, a new alliance is born. The Zenari, once abandoned and left to die, now find hope in a future forged alongside their human saviors. As the crew of the Odyssey prepares to depart, there's a sense of pride among them, not just in their survival but in what they've accomplished. They've proven, once again, that humanity's greatest strength isn't in its technology or power, it's in their courage and resilience. As they return to their ship, ready to face the unknown challenges of the galaxy, Captain Mitchell glances back at the glowing Zenari city. We've earned ourselves some time, he says quietly to Tanaka. But this galaxy doesn't rest. There'll be more. Tanaka smiles softly. And we'll be ready.